Alright, hey, how's it going, guys? So, since the PvP update, the meta shakeup has changed so much. Well, not really too much, but the addition of Wigglytuff, definitely, I have to remake this Jungle Cup team building video. So anyway, if you saw the last one, there's only a few differences, so you could probably skip to the end. I'll put a timestamp right here. And here we go. So first, obviously you got the Vigoroth slot. Exactly the same as in the last video. Vigoroth, even with the addition of Wigglytuff, is still a very, very important Pokemon to have, and almost a necessity. It can still beat Wigglytuff, depends on the IVs, depends how you shield upon the lead. Obviously, if you both have perfect IVs, I believe Wigglytuff wins with only one shield. But if you have better IVs, you could piggyback. Even if you have the same IVs, you could piggyback. There's a lot of ways that you could counter the Wigglytuff, and Vigoroth is just so good in this cup. Next, we're gonna move on to the next part, which is the anti-Vigoroth slot. So first is Venusaur. Venusaur is also now more important because it beats Wigglytuff with the Frenzy Plant and the Sludge Bomb by resisting Charm. Also beats Lantern, walls most electrics, and it's just a solid Pokemon overall, and you should already have one if you played Rainbow Cup. Next is Beedrill. Beedrill is also another solid choice for this slot. Comes with a Poison Jab, counters Vigoroth very well. You go with Sludge Bombs, you go with X Scissors. It will beat down Vigoroth slowly, although you have to be wary of the Body Slam. So both Venusaur and Beedrill have to be wary of the Body Slams. You may need to use a shield, but you may force Vigoroth to use a shield, or your opponent may have to just let it die. Pros and cons of both. Venusaur obviously does much better against Lantern, which is a big threat in this cup. But Beedrill has some utility. It's able to beat Wigglytuff much easier with its fast Poison Jab. Is able to deal, Stab, Sludge Bomb as well. Both of them do. But because Beedrill has that Poison fast attack, it will be able to beat Wigglytuff much faster. Also, it 4 times resist counter from Vigoroth versus Venusaur only resisting it times 2. So that's one thing to think about. Because of the bug typing of Beedrill, it has that extra resistance to counter. You can choose to run Aerial Ace over Sludge Bomb. It's really up to you. I run Aerial Ace just because it helps with the Fortress matchup. If Fortress is a little weaker, you'll be able to take him out much easier with Aerial Ace, and your opponent is likely not going to switch if he has the Aerial Ace. But the standard moveset is Sludge Bomb X Scissor. Alright, so honorable mentions for this slot. I've moved Heracross down here just because, Charm destroys Heracross in 5 hits. You won't be able to get off a charge move in that time unless you had some stored energy prior. But Heracross is still a solid choice. It does beat Vigoroth, it does beat Fortress, which we'll get into later. Victory Belt is interesting just because of the Razor Leaf Blade, also with the access to Acid Spray. There's a lot of potential play there. Only issue I don't suggest it over Venusaur is because of Razor Leaf kind of locking you into that fast move. Won't be able to get to charge moves as fast as Venusaur. And then Breloom is obsolete now, especially because of Charm. It is just a lot worse now. But if you cannot find a Heracross and you really want that fighting type on your team, Breloom could work, and under the right matchups it could work. Alright, next we're going on to the next slot, the anti-Vigoroth slot. So obviously we're starting with Fortress. Fortress beats Venusaur. Fortress beats Beedrill. Fortress beats Wigglytuff. Very, very important matchups. And it's also a solid Pokemon overall. And you probably already have one after Rainbow Cup. So that's why I'm suggesting it. For the moveset, I honestly think you should have Earthquake just because of the Lantern, and also it deals massive damage. And then for the second charge move, you either have Heavy Slam or Rock Tomb. It's really up to you. Earthquake Rock Tomb has great coverage, great super effective damage, will allow you to instantly kill Pokemon such as Vespiquen. Any of the Bug Flyings will fall to Rock Tomb immediately. but Heavy Slam charges much quicker and does decent neutral damage, so it's really up to you what move you want on Fortress. Next, we have Vespi Queen. Vespi Queen is a interesting pick. Because of Wigglytuff, it's not as strong as it would have been prior to the move shakeup, but it still has its use. It still beats Vigoroth, still beats Venusaur. I believe has an easier time against Lantern because of X-Scissor, although it won't beat it, but it will have a little bit of an easier time, especially if it's not running the Charge Beam. If it's running Charge Beam, I'm sorry. But it has the Power Gem, which is, you know, solid versus other bug types. It also completely destroys Heracross, which Fortress loses to, so it's an option for you. And then I'm gonna add another slot, so if you saw the previous video, there's only about Beedrill was actually in this slot originally, but now I'm gonna have another slot, Venomoth. Venomoth beats both Vigoroth, it beats Venusaur, and then it beats Beedrill with Confusion. You want to have the Poison Fang because you'll be able to just launch off Poison Fangs very quickly. I believe after three or four confusions, I think it was 4. Yes, 4 confusions. You'll be able to launch that Poison Fang and just, you know, keep dealing damage with Confusion. It's such a strong move on Venomoth. Only reasons I might not want to run it is just because, you know, it gets walled by Fortress. So if you're already running Beedrill, you might want to run Venusaur and Venomoth together instead. So it's really up to how you want to synergize these Pokemon. But Venomoth is definitely a very solid pick. Beats Heracross and Breloom, and Victreebel beats everything in that anti-Vigoroth slot very easily. And then finally for the honorable mentions, we're going to go with Fury Cutter Scyther. You'll be able to get to X-Scissor and Aerial Ace very quickly with the Fury Cutter. And Executor. Only reason I have Executor as an honorable mention is mainly because it is so hard to get a Confusion Executor under 1500. It's a Legacy move from, I believe, 2016, so it would have to been from like the very beginning of the game. So, you know, good luck getting one. But if you can get one, it has, you know, it will be able to beat Venomoth and everything in the previous slots. May not have as easy of a time against Vigoroth as Vespi Queen or Venomoth, but it is still a very solid choice if you're able to get a Confusion Executor. Next, for the flying slot, once again, Noctowl. Probably the only flying type I can really suggest, because Noctowl just so good. It's really the only Pokemon I suggest to use. Like, if you're gonna have a flying type, use Noctowl. Access to Wing Attack and Sky Attack makes it formidable. Very, very formidable. It's very bulky, it's extremely bulky, and your choice of second charge move is between Psychic or Nightshade. Psychic doesn't do as well versus Magneton or Magnezone, that's what Nightshade is for, but it deals excellent neutral damage versus anything else that doesn't resist Sky Attack. And for the honorable mentions, there's a lot. So I took suggestions from the comments on Reddit and from, you know, the YouTube comments. People are like, why are there no bug flyings in there besides Masquerain? Well, there you go. Scyther is in there, but you need to run Air Slash instead of Fury Cutter. Yanmega and Yanma perform very similarly to Masquerain, but they're a little less bulky. And then, of course, you have Pidgeot and the Fearow. Both interesting picks. If for whatever reason you cannot get a Noctowl, you know, these are viable substitutes. The only issue is most of them lose to Noctowl. I think Pidgeot can beat Noctowl, but depends on how you play the shield game. So it's not a very safe option. Your best option is the Noctowl. Alright, and then for our next slot, which is the electric slot, we're starting with the Alolan Rocks. They're very excellent. Honestly, Rock Throw is the only consistent move you'll really need to run. If you're running Graveler or Golem, you want the Rock Blast on there. Golem will need Wild Charge as its second charge move. You could run Stone Edge, but because Rock Throw only does 2.5 energy per turn, you're better off running Rock Blast in order to launch the rocks like as quick as you can. I personally like Golem over Graveler just because it gets Wild Charge, which charges 5 energy quicker than the Thunderbolt that Graveler has access to. Alolan Geodude is another potential option. I've seen it in use, but I don't think it is as good as its two older brothers. Alright, and for the next Pokemon in this slot, you got Lantern. Once again, it's very solid, very dangerous Pokemon in this cup. Water Gun deals so much good neutral damage. It can take on a lot of the bugs. A lot of, Pokemon such as Fortress can take on the Venomoth. Can take on Beedrill, but doesn't do well versus Victory Bell or Venusaur, which is why those are two important picks as well. The bug types can, if they have charge like charge moves already charged up, they can beat Alolan Golem, especially if shields are down. So Lantern is a very solid water electric option. It's also probably the best water type available in the cup. Ludicolo is there too, but I don't think it is as good as the Lantern. Alright, and then third Pokemon for this slot, Raichu. Once again, solid pick. While it did get Charm in the recent update, do not TM that Thunder Shock away or that Spark away. Only Kanto Raichu actually gets Charm. So yeah, don't TM that Thunder Shock. Thunder Shock is better in every way. In order to get to Raichu's main niche is being able to get Thunder Punches, Brick Breaks, Wild Charges off very quickly using the Thunder Shock. And with the Alolan Raichu, you could run Grass Knot to get rid of Lantern. Well, it doesn't do as well versus Lantern, but you'll be able to beat the Alolan Golem much easier. But that's really the only function in this cup for Grass Knot, and I neglected to put it on here. But it has potential. Grass Knot actually takes, I believe, 55 energy to charge, so it might not be the best option compared to just running the normal Thunder Punch Wild Charge, but it's there for you. But I don't 100% suggest it unless you're really scared of losing to the Alolan Golem. But even then, I believe they outdamage you with their fast attacks alone anyway. But it's an option. If I were to choose one, I prefer... It's a toss-up between Golem and Lantern, so it's really up to you. A lot of people like to bring both, so we'll get to that later. Lastly, honorable mentions for this slot are the Mags and Electrode. Why Electrode? Electrode's a little bulkier than Magneton and Magnezone. It gets Spark, it gets Discharge, which is a great electric move, and it gets Foul Play in the new PvP update. So there's a lot of potential there. It'll deal a lot of neutral damage to the grass types that resist the Thunderbolt, the thunder attacks. And with Discharge, you'll be able to beat with Foul Play, you'll be able to beat Alolan Raichu much easier. You'll be able to beat Executor, who does not wall you anymore. Before that, its only non-electric charge move was Hyper Beam, and it will take you forever to get to that. But with Discharge and Foul Play, you will deal so much damage with Electrode, and I honestly think it is a sleeper pick. Okay, quote me on this. It is a sleeper pick. I might use it for fun in my next practice tournament, but it is a good option, and don't count it out if you see it on someone's team. That Foul Play will hurt you. Alright, last slot, the Flex Pick / Wildcard slot. The number one suggestion is Wigglytuff, alright? If you have to pick a flex pick, go with the Wigs. Why Wigglytuff? Because Charm takes out anything that doesn't have Steel or Poison attached to it. Like, as long as you have at least one shield, you'll be able to do massive damage with the Charm. And for its charge moves, I suggest Ice Beam, Play Rough. Ice Beam because you'll be able to take out the poison grasses much easier. You'll be able to... it's also its quickest charge move. So with Ice Beam, you'll be able to launch at least like one before dying. And obviously the second one is Play Rough, only needs 5 more energy than Ice Beam. And it's a stab attack. If you're going for the Hail Mary, go for the Play Rough. And if it's like unresisted, and if Ice Beam is not super effective, go for the Play Rough. Other options you could run for a charge move is Hyper Beam if you think that you can reach it. I honestly doubt you will, with the energy per turn of Charm being 2 per turn. Not that great. But Charm is such a strong move that if you need a flex pick, I'm just saying Jigglypuff is a very, very tempting option, right? And for another option you could have for this flex pick is any Pokemon that was previously mentioned in this graph. Now, while I did mention that in the last video, I did not put it on the actual infographic. So people are like, oh, but it's better to do that instead of any of the Pokemon in there. So I fixed it. All right. So any Pokemon that's on this chart that fills the hole in your team can work for your last slot. All right. So, and honestly, I think these are all of the meta picks that we can expect out of Jungle Cup for the next 2 weeks. So we'll see. And last are, I call these the fun options. I don't think they're gonna have any serious levels of play, but they have potential. They just need to be used in the right context. But I don't think that at the highest level of play they're gonna do super well. I have the Armaldo, the Credilli, Girafarig, Dunsparce, Sceptile, and the Furret. The only one I think that has super strong potential is Sceptile, especially with its new Dragon Claw. Although I think for this cup you're better off running the Aerial Ace. But Dragon Claw may have its use in a future cup, so who knows? But I would not TM it to Dragon Claw from Aerial Ace yet, because Aerial Ace is much better for this cup. So anyway, this is the new team building guide. If you like this video, please like it, please subscribe it. If you want to help your fellow trainers out, go ahead and share it, and you guys will be able to make the most meta team and win your Jungle Cup. Anyway, we've seen, and as I predicted, before the PvP update, a lot of people were using Vigoroth, Venusaur, Fortress, Noctowl, Golem, and Lantern. I saw a lot of teams like that. Some people would mix it up, maybe switch out, say, one Pokemon for another Pokemon on this infographic, but it's pretty consistent. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Go start practicing right now. Bye-bye.